Hey everyone, following our recent announcement of Arazzo UI, I'm thrilled to say that Arazzo Editor is now here and live. Arazzo Editor is a free tool that allows you to review, create, and build multi-step API workflows, all conforming to the Arazzo specification. It gives you code-based editing, visual-based editing, and form-based editing. So whatever mode you're most comfortable in, you can jump right in and start creating multi-step API workflows. The tool itself is packed full of useful features out of the gate. So let's take a quick look at what's there. So you'll see that we have preloaded a number of workflows to get you started. You have the ability to load a remote workflow from a URL. You also have the ability to open any Arazzo document that's on your file system. And of course, you can start from new. To start with, or to give you a quick run through, let's load one of the well-known examples from the OpenAPI repository. So we're just going to load this up. And here we can see that the Arazzo document is correctly loaded both in the form-based editor, in the visual editor, and in the code-based editor. We can look at the workflow metadata itself, see what version of Arazzo it's conforming to. And as we make any changes in either mode, this will synchronize right across all of the three views. So we can see that demo has popped up in the code editor as well as the form-based editor itself. We can see what source descriptions, so what APIs the workflow takes its operation over, and we can drill into any of the workflows and the steps themselves. Again, if we make edit changes to any of the steps, this will synchronize across all views. So really appealing to all of the different personas that perhaps will be engaged in creating these multi-step orchestrations. So now let's look at how we can update some of the inputs. So we can set them as required. We can configure other schema attributes for the inputs themselves. We can, of course, also add new inputs. So here, let's add a pet type input for this workflow. We'll specify this as a string, and for now, we'll just leave it as optional. So this will now be part of the JSON schema that represents the input schemas. We also have the ability to access more advanced parts of Arazzo. So we have the ability to define what should happen if things don't go to plan when making an API call. So let's configure some workflow failure actions. So what we want to do is retry a step if we get a service unavailable back at any step in the workflow. So we configure one of these retry mechanisms to retry after 1 second and exhaust our retries after 3. We should recall the current step, and this should happen if we get back a HTTP status code 503 from the API. As soon as we set that, we see that the retry action becomes visually available to us also within the React Flow layout, again making it very, very easy for us to understand what is going to happen throughout the execution of this particular workflow. We've built in support for Arazzo UI as well from a docs rendering perspective, so you can look at this in a more maybe human-friendly way if you want to read through and really understand and grok exactly what's happening at each step in the process. You again can get sequence diagram and flowchart diagram representations for the workflow as well. Not alone that, you can export all of this in multiple formats, be it YAML or JSON Arazzo files, export the markdown that you might want to host, or maybe HTML that you want to host in your developer portal, or maybe you just want to generate those images so you can embed them into more human-centered documentation. So with that, I encourage you to go off and try and explore Arazzo Editor. It's a very, very powerful tool, and it's another step on our journey to building the ecosystem that Arazzo deserves.